It's time now for everybody's favorite segment, the segment that we look forward to each and every week. It is time for Mount Rushmore. And this week we are talking about the Texas Rangers. David, who is your first player on the Texas Rangers Mount Rushmore?
And remember, everybody, with the Mount Rushmore, if we've picked somebody for another Mount Rushmore, they cannot be in this Mount Rushmore. Like, you only get to be in one. It kind of got interesting with the Mariners and stuff like that. Or with some teams, like there's been conversation like, hey, why not this guy? Why not that guy? Well, because we put rules on this, because we're a goddamn society based on rules. Very first one, I think it is a pretty easy one. Yes, the dude had been around a little bit, having some of the greatest moments in other franchise histories, but without a doubt, his almost entire career for the Texas Rangers, Ivan Pudge Rodriguez.
Okay, so as a guy who grew up idolizing Mike Piazza, I will say that even though I love Mike Piazza, Pudge Rodriguez a better all-around catcher. In fact, he's probably the best all-around catcher that I've ever seen in my lifetime.
No. Well,
in our lifetime, who's better?
Yachty.
Doesn't have the power.
Yeah, but Yachty beat him defensively a lot.
Yeah, but Pudge was a much better offensive player.
Yeah, but Yachty was a much better defensive player. Like,
yeah,
much better.
Like
and the thing about it was, and this is the stories I had always heard, was Pudge wouldn't call curveballs in counts so he could make sure he could throw guys out. Like, Yachty never cared. Yachty wanted the out, the pitcher to get the out, and would create the out on the base path. Pudge would force the pitcher into situations and pitches that they shouldn't be throwing to guarantee he got the out on the base path.
Interesting. I had never heard
that. Once I heard that, I didn't really like it. But I will give you, like, this is a good argument. It's a legit argument from an offensive standpoint. I don't think there's ever I mean, from an offensive standpoint, I mean, Piazza's pretty dang incredible and you can't really fight against it, but like, it'd be a great argument straight up, these two. Pudge is much better defensively than Mike Piazza, without a doubt, and those were the two greatest from that generation. Pudge Rodriguez, I mean, let's just go to the numbers, right? 14-time All-Star, MVP, 2003 World Series champion, 13-time Gold Glover, 7-time Silver Slugger, NLCS MVP, obviously, I think I already said a Hall of Famer, 1,500 games for Texas behind the plate. He hit 304, 217 home runs, 488 OPS, 842 RBIs, 352 doubles, triples, all that stuff. Part of some really incredible Texas teams that were just goddamn dangerous, but didn't have the pitching to match.
Yeah,
and it sucks because there's some of these teams in Texas that you're just like, dude, if they had the pitching, oh my God. But there's some reasons with that, right? Sometimes you get the hitting because you don't have the pitching, and sometimes you need the hitting because you don't have the pitching. And sometimes the pitching might be because of the dude behind the plate a little bit too. Like, there's parts to play with that.
Yep.
But he was a goddamn beast.
He was an absolute beast. Okay, I have a riddle for you before we get to our next player. What happens when you take steroids and combine it with Viagra? You get our very next Hall of Fame, well, not Hall of Fame, Mount Rushmore inductee, and that would be Rafael Palmeiro.
Well, and I'm seeing if Ivan Rodriguez, I faced him, Pudge, 0 for 2, 1 punch out.
Okay, you have to do that with all these guys. You got to look what you did.
Hall
okay,
of
I like
Famer,
it,
dude. My Hall of Fame stats are pretty dang good.
Yeah, no, you're really good against Hall of Famers. It's actually quite funny. You're like the reverse Tony Gwynn.
Yeah, Palmeiro, was he done? Yeah, he was 2005, 4, and 5. I wouldn't have played him. Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I was really good against Hall of Famers. Pudge Rodriguez, or sorry, we're going Rafael Palmeiro. The dude was so good, he won a Gold Glove when he didn't even play a base. This is not even a joke. The guy didn't even play first base, and he won a Gold Glove at first base.
Yeah.
1 year
So
with the Orioles. He never he only played 15 games or something at first base and won a goddamn Gold Glove. Because you know what? You know what's the number one thing to win a Gold Glove? You got to hit the goddamn baseball as far as you can, and that's what he did. And he did it with some of the very best of them. 569 home runs, dude. You forget about him so much because he sat in front of Congress and said, "I didn't do all the steroids and all this stuff," and then he did.
he only had 61 home runs less than freaking Junior, which is crazy.
You kind of you forget about it. 2 separate 5-year stints with the Rangers, so 10 years total. Hit 290, 519 OPS, 321 home runs with Texas, over 1,000 RBIs, 321 doubles, 2 All-Star games, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger. He drove over 100 runs 6 separate times. That's just as a Ranger. And when he went to Baltimore, he was incredible too. MVP 14, 19, 8, 16, 11, 6, 13, 18, 5, 14. He would be a Hall of Famer without a doubt if he wasn't connected with steroids. That's it.
Yeah. He's a compiler, though. At no point did I ever look at Rafael Palmeiro as being the best at his position, best home run hitter, best anything. He was just a guy that continually did it. And he reminded me of another player of his era. And usually you're right in sync with me when I talk about these comps. When you think of Rafael Palmeiro and what he's done in baseball, who do you think I'm thinking of in a comparative way?
Are you talking about a Fred McGriff?
Yeah, I am talking about Fred McGriff. That's why I love you, Ards. That's exactly who he is. He is Fred McGriff. He was never the best at his position, but he was there long enough and did it and played at such a high level for so many years that they couldn't say no.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it is he was never the best. There was always a Jim Thome. Even a Jim Thome in the same position, or the thing about it though is he was just overshadowed. I mean, the dude had 148 RBIs 1 year, 142 RBIs, 43, 47, 47, 39, 43 home runs. I mean, the dude hit 319, 322, 319, 307, 324. He had these years. It's just every year though, he was always there. And that's the thing, you kind of lose a little respect. You just would you take Rafael Palmeiro on your team? Hell yes. But do you think sometimes you think about a lot of other guys before him, but then you look at his numbers and you're like, Rafael Palmeiro out hit this dude left and right. And he was actually a pretty he was a decent first baseman a little bit, but DH obviously that's where he was. And the dude was dude was a stud. Absolute stud. One of the best.
He was. That's why they gave him the Viagra endorsement, because he was good with his wood. All right, moving on. A guy who I never thought got the love and respect that he deserved. I don't know why, but Adrian Beltre, absolute beast.
Yes, absolute beast. Played 8 seasons with the Texas Rangers. He played 21 seasons overall. This dude, I remember facing him in 2004 with the Dodgers, his MVP 2 year. Actually, I think I struck him out, or I got him out, and that was a huge moment in my career, just to face the dude that's going to win the MVP and get him out. That was pretty damn cool. But after the Dodgers, went to Seattle, went to Boston for that 1 year, and revitalized his whole career. And then with the Texas, and just kind of went off and became the thing about his time with Texas. He became the personality. He became the fun, the smile, the guy you messed with, but had a smile, had an edgy smile, fun factor about it. Him and who was the shortstop with the Rangers and their games they used to play?
Rougned Odor?
No. I'll figure it out. But the games they were playing was just so much fun. The dude was just one of the best defensive third basemen of all time. Did not by any means get enough credit for that. I think the Hall of Fame voters respected the hell out of it. He was a Hall of Famer because people loved him and he had great numbers. But like when you go up across the board, like some of the numbers aren't going to just blow your mind, but then you realize, dude, the guy had a 93 WAR. The guy had almost like a 286 average, 477 home runs. You don't remember like he had a one blowout year, but like you don't remember every year you're like, God, he wasn't the best in baseball every year, but
Were
he
you
was
thinking about Elvis
always
Andrews?
up there. And he had a lot of injuries. I mean, I remember one time with the Mariners, he took a ball off the ball, and he blew up his ball and had to like sit out however many games until it came down. That was really funny to look at. Anyways, he batted 304 with Texas, 509, 100 like 200 home runs, 700 RBIs, 239 doubles, 3 Gold Gloves, 3 Silver Sluggers. Top 10 in the MVP voting 5 times. So he was top 10 5 times as a Ranger. Remember, he became a Ranger as his 32-year season. So he played 32 to 39. So of his 32 to 39 years, 5 of those were top 10, and he still had another one that was in 15. And they had 2 at 15. So it's pretty incredible what he did as a Ranger. And it's so funny because like he had spent a lot of years in LA. He had spent a lot of years in Seattle, and we remember him as a Ranger. I loved him as a teammate in Seattle.
Are you talking about Elvis Andrews before? When you're
Elvis
saying
Andrews. God, it was so fun.
Awesome. All right. Last guy is the only reason why I know who holds the record for RBIs in a single season, and that's Juan Gonzalez, because I believe in 1998, he had an incredible amount of RBIs by the All-Star break. I think it was like 120. So I'm always going to remember that Hack Wilson has the most RBIs in a season because Juan Gonzalez was going after that record. He fell way short, but I did remember that about Juan Gonzalez. Tell me about Juan Gonzalez.
Hack Wilson ended up had it like 200, didn't he?
Yeah, it was 200 and something, a ridiculous number.
I had 191.
191.
And
okay.
then Juan Gonzalez ended up with 157, led the league in RBIs, 50 doubles, 45 home runs, won the MVP 2 times, both times as a Ranger. He had 2 separate stints with the Rangers, but 2-time MVP winner. He was an MVP before 9, 13, MVP 16 as well. This dude was absolute hammer. Those 90s teams had just, dude, like the amount of power and stuff in these 90s teams. I mean, think about some of these lineups. They had Palmeiro, Juan Gonzalez. We're talking about Pudge Rodriguez. Will Clark was there for some of this. It was absolute like fiasco with how good these ball players were and how good that lineup was in Texas. But this dude was an absolute beast. Again, he won a home run derby, which is so cool to watch. Right then, 3-time All-Star, 6-time Silver Slugger, 2-time MVP. Think about that. He only was an All-Star 3 times, and he won the Silver Slugger 6. So He was the best in his position 6 times, and he still was only an All-Star 3 times, which is kind of crazy. That you get to that point. Like, I don't even know how that's a deal, but it is. I loved watching this guy growing up. I loved watching him, and to me, he's the 4th on their Hall of Fame or their Mount Rushmore.
Mount Rushmore. Who is the guy who just missed?
The guy who just missed, I've got 2. Okay. And I am a lover of changing generations and stuff like this. Mm-hmm. Ian Kinsler is my like first man out. And I tied him with Kenny Rogers. There's no pitcher on this list, so I had to go with Kenny Rogers. Again, he was an absolute stud. But Ian Kinsler was a guy I played against a lot. What was that?
I said the guy makes a damn good chicken, that Kenny Rogers.
Ian Kinsler was an absolute stud while he is there. 4-time All-Star. 2018, he won the World Series. 2-time Gold Glover with the Rangers. 273 average, 156 home runs, 539 runs, doubles, 250. He was that second base to Elvis Andrews, shortstop, and then He ended up getting traded in 2013, so he didn't really get to experience the Adrian Beltre experience. But he was an absolute stud.
Okay. And finally, who's the guy on the team that could make it if they continue?
Yes, could make it if they continue. So this is an interesting one when you're getting down to it. What's funny is this is a guy who made a huge name for himself as a Dodger, and now he's here with Texas. Depends on how the rest of his career goes. It's kind of taken a little downward dive right here this year, but Corey Seager is a stud. Absolute part of that World Series team, the core. Like he was the core of that World Series team coming over from the Dodgers. He's been a 3-time All-Star with the Rangers, MVP 15, MVP 2, All-Star again those 3 times. Led the league as doubles and 96 RBIs, 74 RBIs. 30 home runs basically every year, 33 and 30. This guy is a stud. It's just like, all right, where are we going with the rest of the career, and where is this Rangers team going? Because it's on a downward slide, and if he's going to pick it up, like they need him. They need him to pick it up. There's a couple other interesting ones here. Jacob deGrom would be an interesting one to say.
There's no chance.
I don't think he'll be around long enough. But if Jacob deGrom is here for like 6 years, and he just does like Jacob deGrom stuff, it'd be an interesting conversation.
It's not possible.
Not possible.
No, it's not possible because he can't. There's no chance that he's going to be, or I won't say no chance, but it's highly, highly unlikely that he's going to do anything close to what he did with the Mets. He's not going to win back-to-back Cy Youngs and then possibly be on the road for a third one before he gets hurt. I mean, you're asking a lot. And if you're going to put deGrom on the Mount Rushmore, it would be with the Mets. I already put him there on the Mets Mount Rushmore. The guy who I think has the potential to be on the Rangers Mount Rushmore, still very early, Wyatt Langford. That guy's got skills.
Without a doubt. Absolutely has skills. Corey's got a big jump on him. And if Corey comes out with the next 4 years, 5 years, and just balls out, he absolutely could be. Marcus Semien is like too far behind the 8 ball, at 34 versus Seager's 31, and Corey's obviously been even above that. Josh Jung is really interesting with that, but yeah, I'd say Wyatt Langford without a doubt. It would be the next in line if Corey doesn't step it up again as a hitter to be in this list, bro. This list, you're talking about a powerful list. Like if you put those 4 in a lineup, I mean, it's with anybody because these numbers that these guys put up in their career are with any 4 hitters from any team. I don't care who you are. These 4 could go up against almost anybody and at the end of the day in their career.
Yep. You're 100% right.
Almost.